Welcome to keviseeb on WGT. Today we're going to be looking at the menu screens and how to navigate through so you can play a game. When you first go to WGT.com, there will be a sign-in screen where you choose your screen name and password. Once you do that, there will be a main screen where you enter your username and password. And after you're signed in, it will give you some options. The main one is to play now. If you click on the Play Now button, the screen you will see is this one. So this is the second screen. Now, you probably won't be in a country club immediately, but should you choose to either set one up or join one, its location would be right here where it says My Country Club. If you click on that, it takes you to the various tournaments that you can play in your country club. But let's say you want to go over and look at your equipment and maybe even change it. You simply go over here and click on Change Equipment. That will bring up another screen. And that will, for instance, if you wanted to change drivers, you just click on the tab down here, and then it allows you to cycle through. And I still have a lot of the WGT standard ones. If you don't see one you like and you feel like spending a minor amount of money on buying a club, then you can go to the pro shop for more clubs. But you simply just grab the club and move it up to the location. Now, typically, you're going to have a driver, a 3-wood. You can have either a hybrid or, in this case, have 3 wedges. In my case, I use a 50, 75, and 100-yard wedge. And then you have your choice of club sets, and that's down here under irons. And this is where you can choose the various irons. Now, when you scroll through them, you'll notice it has the shortest club to the longest, and you can cycle through to see which ones are being shown versus what you're using. And you can keep going. Now, the further I go to the right here, these are basically the beginning clubs that you start off with. And then once you get up to, I think these clubs here are level 97, then you can see that your clubs can go a bit further. Of course, you need that because when you're in the upper rankings, the tees are set further back. So just click on one of those. Balls will be a choice. Now, here's where you can purchase balls if you wish. You can also get free balls if you play on a certain weekend. WGT will give away various ones. And over the years, as you can see, I've accumulated quite a few, depending on the tournaments. But you're always going to have one that is free, and that's going to be at the very end here. Oh, I must have gone right by it. I might have so many in here that it's not giving me the option. But there's always going to be a free ball. So if, for instance, you hit a ball into the water, there's no way you can run out of balls. In other words, you'll always end up with a free ball. There it is. This unlimited ball, it will always give you the choice. Now, there are some drawbacks to it. It is free, but if you'll notice, what you give up is distance, spin. It's as durable as it can be because it's an unlimited supply. And the meter speed, which is the most important thing, gives you literally 0 help, whereas this particular ball I'm using, the meter speed is 3.5. There is one brand of clubs called Max, and these particular clubs have the slowest swing rate of any club. So if you combine them with a Max ball, your meter speed is, even on a computer that doesn't have a lot of horsepower to it, you'll still be able to make good contact on the ding. So I didn't really make any changes, so I'm going to go back out. And then you have choices over here on the left, which would be the different kinds of games you can play. Closest to the hole would be a single shot, either 9 or 18 holes, and you take one shot Sometimes you'll be in a fairway, sometimes you might be in a sand trap, sometimes it's a putt on a green. But it is only one shot per hole, so you can get through those fairly quickly. Then there's a blitz, which is close to the closest to the hole in the way it's done, but if you're within 10 feet, for instance, then you get points for that, and you accumulate points as you go. Stroke play is simply what it sounds like. It counts the strokes for each of the player. The one with the lowest number of strokes wins. Match play is what was on professional golfing this past weekend, which is where you are teamed up against someone else, or it's a team against a team, and you each hole that's won, you start off all square as it's known, and then you go up +1, down 1, etc. At the end of 9 holes or 18 holes, the person who is up the most wins. Alternate shot is an interesting one. That's where you're a group of 4 people. There are 2 teams, and each teammate will tee off every other hole throughout the match. And it's similar to match play scoring in that you either go up 1 or down 1, depending on whether you win or lose. And skins game is one where you actually bet credits or win credits per hole. If you have credits to play with and you want to play that, it's done the same way it is in pro golf. Then you go down below that, and you can explore the courses. There are tournaments you can enter specifically, depending on the type that you like to play. Bracket is an interesting one because that's where it's 16 people, and it's 8 on one side, 8 on the other, and you just keep playing down that bracket until you end up with the final 2. That is open to anyone of any rank. So there are brackets for legends, there's brackets for tour pros and pros, so you can enter the bracket that you want. If you want to play online against someone, you have your choice of either joining a game, and you can select via the screen once you get in there whether you want to do a stroke play, a blitz, alternate shot. So you can pick whatever game you want. You can also say whether you want to play 9 holes, 18, or you can also decide whether you want to play against people of your own rank or people of a higher rank. But keep in mind, if you play against someone who's a legend in ranking, the greens are going to be set to the level of the highest ranked player. So in the case of a tournament player, or in the case of a legend player, he's going to be on tournament greens. And if you're just starting out, it may not be a good idea to transition to that quickly, because there are different greens. You start out as an amateur on a slow green, and then you go up to standard, fast, very fast, tournament, and then championship. So if you're new at the game, you're used to slow greens, you play against a player who is on a tournament green, the ball is going to go a lot farther than you think. And I can't tell you the number of times I played against someone who didn't realize that, and the first putt on the first green goes literally double the distance they thought it would. It's okay if you can adjust to it, and I've done a few videos on how you can go to some greens and learn how far your ball goes, depending on how far the golfer is moving the putter stroke. So just be careful when you join a game or you create one. Make sure you select a green speed that you're comfortable with. And you can also select which tees to tee off from and whether there's no wind or a lot of wind. Going over one more is the community. You could go to the pro shop and look at what you'd like to buy in terms of clubs or not. You can adjust your profile. You can look at various players that are on WGT. And you can go to the forums, which is where you can get a lot of good information on how to putt, the different ways that people do things. And there are many different ways to play this game, some quite simple, which I personally prefer, and some can get rather complicated, where you're using charts and calculations and that type thing, which is fine. And you'll notice the people that do that are the ones that have the best averages overall. There are many WGT legend and tour legend players who have handicaps that are in the low 50s. That's hard to get to, and in order to get to that, you have to play the game fairly precisely. Then, of course, there's the latest news, and that's updated regularly. And then if you want to go to lessons, there is a whole selection of video lessons that you can do. And those are typically basic. You won't see a lot of tips and tricks in there, but it will explain the way the game operates. So let's just go pick a stroke play here. Or actually, we'll see if we can join a game. And I'm going to just pick stroke play. And here's where you can select any game mode, which is practice, which is probably, if you're brand new at it and you just want to see how things work, that's the best mode to practice. Or you can choose ranked. Ranked actually starts accumulating your handicap up and down. As a hack, the first time you play, your average will be 150. In order to move up through the rankings, that average has to drop. So if you are brand new at it, going out for the first or second time, then you might want to select practice here. Then you can pick a course, or you can let the computer randomly pick it, which we'll do here. And then holes, this is important. You can pick either the front 9, the back 9, any 9, or you can do all 18. The best chance to get a game with someone is to pick any 9, ranked game on any course. Whether you like the course you get sent to or not is up to you. Here you can select the player rank, and this is the whole list of rankings. So you go amateur up to pro, then there's tour pro, master, tour master, legend, and then tour legend. And I'm going to pick any. And then reputation, this is something that's really not selectable, but you'll find there are a few people who may have internet connection problems, so they drop out of a game. The more you do that, your reputation suffers, and we'll see a screen in a minute that you can tell how people's reputations are. The true golf courses, there are some courses on WGT which are computer generated. They typically have a cost to them. Maybe you have to pay 40 credits to play 18 holes. But that gives you an opportunity to see some of the courses. They're not as realistic as the rest of the courses, but it gives you a chance to play courses in various places all over the world. So we're going to click on Find a Game. And here's one here. And you can see there's 4 people, Master, Master, Tour Master, Legend. And this is going to be held at Kiowa Island, the front 9. The lies will be even. You can select uneven lies, but like in real golf, if you're downhill or uphill, the ball is going to go dramatically one way or the other, so you have to adjust for it. Or you can just select even lies, and then the ball will travel straight. So we're waiting for a 4th. I normally select Tour Master or above because sometimes people at the master level have not experienced tournament greens yet. So hopefully these guys have, and they'll be all right.
Just a short time remains. Monday, the Rooms to Go spring sale will end. You only have until Monday to click here for once a season online savings on furniture for every room. Save on Cindy Crawford Home, the Sofia Vergara collection, on tons of clearance items, kids furniture, and more. Plus, you can finance interest-free until January 2018. So don't waste another minute. Get amazing Rooms to Go spring sale savings before the sale ends Monday. Click here now.
And yes, you do have to watch an ad. That's probably why the game's free. I'm just thinking. All right, so here we are at the first hole. It's going to load all the golfers. And while we're waiting, well, let me just type in here. Good luck and have fun. And you can look at your competition. And this is a competition. There will be a winner and loser. So here's our first player. He's a master level. His average is 66. And you can see his percentage on. And then we go to the second golfer, who's a tour master, so he's one level up. Average is 64. And then there's me. And then the last one, and his average is 68. So it gives you a shot. And it gives you a shot also if you want to click on equipment, and you can see what the equipment is that they're using, like iron sets, for instance, and what ball they're playing. So you can tell a lot about what your other competitors are using. And it's not so much to get an edge on competition as to see what other people prefer in terms of equipment. We all have our opinions as to what we'd like to play. Now you'll notice he's 363 yards from the pin. And then the Tour Master is 373 yards from the pin. And you'll notice there is a timer over here. It will allow you to make one mistake before you start accumulating strokes. All right, so I'll be up next. And you'll see that I have 384 yards. So I have close to a 50-yard pin difference here. All right, then you can click on the lower right-hand side here, which is the camera, and you can place your cursor wherever you want. And keeping in mind there's a wind from right to left, so I'll put it over there. Give it a little bit of backspin. And that sound is what you'll hear when you happen to hit it perfectly, which doesn't happen often, when you're streaming particularly. So you see, even though in theory the Tour Master had a big advantage over me on distance, because I'm up in a rank sufficient enough to buy different balls and different clubs, which are only available when you get in those upper ranks. So that's how it equals out someone who's a higher ranked player against a lower ranked player. And like in real golf, the people who are the shortest drive are next up. And the advantage to stroke play is that if someone has a problem with a computer connection or they rage quit, which does happen sometimes, the other three players will continue. If it's an alternate shot game, that is not the case. If the person leaves the game, then they forfeit. So anytime there's a team involved, you need to have all four stay. In this case, I mean, it could if three of the four dropped out, it would still leave the one player remaining, and would still allow you to accumulate points, so to speak, for your average. It's always good to watch from behind the green. Kind of gives you an advance tip as to how the ball's going to roll when it gets there. All right, I'm going to give it a little bit of backspin here. 83 yards is going to be about there. I hit it a bit early, but that'll be all right. And again, remember, this is an online game, so if someone doesn't have the best internet in the world, you may end up waiting a little bit now and then. And then you can just move your mouse over the balls on the green and you can see how close each of the players are. And you can also click on this reverse screen and see the green from a different angle. This is always good to watch when other players are hitting, so you can see what the ball does when it hits the green, if it gets there. And this particular player, if you look at the lower right here, he is using the standard ball. So if, for instance, you are using the standard ball, he'd be a good player to watch from the reverse angle when he hits towards the green, because his ball and yours are going to react similarly. In the case of mine, it's an advanced level ball. It's going to act completely differently. It's going to stop much quicker. Now, what we don't know is whether that ball went so far because he didn't realize it's a tournament green, or whether he just hit it too hard. And I'm going to type in chat. That these are tournament greens, just in case people aren't watching. That was a very nice shot. See, I don't think he realizes that what happens with tournament greens. All right, this looks pretty much straight in for me. That's 8. I'm going to give it a few more feet just for safety here. Whoa, this is a horrible connection. Yeah. Unfortunately, how well you do in this game is greatly based on the quality of your internet connection. And you do get to hear a little clapping when you get a birdie, so that's cool. Claps a whole lot more when you get an eagle. Oh my God, these are terrible connection. You can tell right away based on the way that the meter jumps. All right, so we're going to have one birdie, two pars, and a bogey. And when you're going between holes, you can click on handicap here, and you can see the relative rating of each hole. For instance, the next hole we're going to go to is the third hardest. I was just checking that last golfer that hit. He apparently has the basic equipment. And I do recommend that you stick with the basic equipment initially. It doesn't do a whole lot of good. All right, this has a possibility here of going for the gusto, which I'm going to do because they have a pretty good wind. And I hope I can hit the ding right. Oh God, I didn't. That was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Well, it could have been worse. Had the meter not completely failed me, if you look on the lower right of the screen, the ball would have been over to the left here and left a relatively short shot into the green. All right, so now we're hitting our second shot. And typically people can get up close enough to the green to where they can safely get on in three. But on this particular hole, a lot of people don't do that. They try and go for it. He played it smart. Take a look from behind, see where he's going to go. It's rare not to have someone in the strap here. It's nice playing with golfers who aren't taking too many chances. And that's probably the safest place you can be. He's got a little chip into the green. rough isn't too bad here. Of course, like in real golf, you should not try and hit out of the rough. So I'm going to try and go for the green here. This may not be the smartest thing in the world to do. And I end up in the sand where I just got finished telling you that people who try too hard end up. But so far, this has been a lesson in what not to do, which is a good thing. Go behind the green here so we can see how the balls react when they hit. And that was a very nice shot. If it stops, I have to say, for being a master, he's doing very well. All right, here's the basic ball again, the free one. Let's take a look from behind. And you'll notice something the basic ball does is it tends to roll farther, doesn't have quite the distance, and it's a little harder to hit the ding. He's going to run out of time. I just made it. Very well done. See how the ball has a tendency just not to stop. But that's okay, because you can plan ahead for that. The only time you have a problem with that are on some of the more difficult courses. You just don't have that much green to play with. So you can't let a ball roll 10 or 15 yards or more without getting into some trouble. And there's a ball that had some backspin to it. So that would be a purchased ball. All right, then we go to me in the sand trap here. It's not too bad of a shot. This meter is absolutely horrible. Well, it went 29 yards. Unfortunately, it was about 4 yards off to one side. All right, there's 8. Oh, this is terrible meter tonight. Just terrible. Look at that. Oh, I got lucky. Didn't put it in the hole, but whatever. There are a lot of tips and tricks on how to putt. In fact, there are many people that have done entire videos on that, including myself. Many different ways to do it, some very sophisticated, some quite simple, which is what I believe in. Of course, the people that have sophisticated methods, coincidentally, also have a much better percentage of putts made. Well, we're all getting closer. Oh, that was very close. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to have anybody that's going to have a bogey this time. That's good. If you don't want to play with 4 people, because this does obviously take longer. That was a nice bird. Then you can set up your own game and just maybe select 2 players or 3. That way you don't have to spend the time. All right, let's see if we can just tap this in the hole with a crappy meter. Oh, it is horrible. Hmm. All right, so the next hole is going to be the 9th hardest. You just keep looking up on the right side here, and you'll see the differences between Master, Tour Master. All right, I'm going to count on this meter being nasty here. Of course, if it's not, going to be in a world of trouble. It was, so that's fine. Now, there are some holes where being a more advanced level helps. This is certainly one of them, as you can see. This player has a 129-yard shot. This is the one who's playing last, whereas mine is 63 yards. And the player that just hit is the one that has the standard ball. All right, we're all on the fairway. That's always nice. We'll look from the green side. And that's a good example of what happens with the lower level balls. They do tend to roll on you somewhat. All right, here's the one with the standard WGT free ball. And even if he manages to hit the ball where it lands at, say, 94 yards, there's still a very good chance it will roll beyond the pin. Nothing in life is free. If you want to stop the ball, by God, you have to pay for it sometimes. That didn't quite make it on. And keep in mind, we are playing on tournament greens, so they are faster than what any of these players would normally be playing on. All right, let's see if we can manage to get a decent hit with this wonderful meter here. A little bit of backspin. And 63 yards is going to be about there. This hole tends to play a little bit long. Come on, meter. Oh, got lucky. Well, I said it tends to play long. Apparently it didn't play it long enough. This course and the one at St. Andrews are the two favorites when you're first starting out because they tend to have the easiest to hit fairways. In the case of St. Andrews, there's usually more wind than there is here. This is actually a pretty heavy wind considering. And there's a case where the standard ball worked just fine. We're all in the putting service. 3 out of the 4 have a good shot at birdie. Well, he'll definitely get his par. All right, I'm just going to hit this one straight. All right, there's 8 feet and then about 11. I don't know if that'll go or not. Oh, God. That is not the way to miss a birdie. Hit it a tiny bit harder, it would have gone in. And remember, this is a player with a standard ball. You can see it down here in the lower right. And he saved the par. That's very nice. We'll type in NS for nice save. I have to say, this is the worst meter I've ever seen. It's not the game's fault. It's simply the internet connection. All right, next hole is going to be the hardest hole on the course. This is a rather lengthy par 4, plenty of places to get into trouble. Let's look from the green all the way back. Of course, the tee is way up here at the top of the screen. It's easy to get into the rough right here at the 289-yard marker because the ball tends to roll a lot once it hits in this area. He did very well. That's about as far as he could go. All right, then this is the master level, who's at 432 to the pin. The golfer we just saw hit was 444. And if you want, you can click on menu here when you're hitting, and you can hit the scorecard. It'll show you how far you're going to have to hit, depending on your ranking. And the green is reachable by lower level players, but as you just saw, it's going to require a 190 plus yard shot. All right, I'm not real confident about this meter, so we're just going to play it safe here. Instead of putting it where I want, I'll put it where it's going to be safe, I hope. And I'm going to have to back off because this club will easily go into that rough. Naturally get a perfect hit. And maybe it was a little bit too conservative. All right, this is the player with the standard WGT ball. Stay in the fairway. Very good. Well, I'm almost farther away than anyone else. In fact, I am farther away than anyone else. All right, 193 yards. A little bit of full backspin on it. Stick with the 200. And I'm going to back off just a little. And hopefully hit the ding. Oh, got an unlucky bounce. Very unlucky. It's really better to go long on this hole to avoid doing what I just did, which was to hit this mound right here. And that just propels the ball forward. Even with full backspin on an advanced level ball, it still just can't bite. The safest thing is to do what he just did, which would be to let the ball roll up. Sometimes it'll curl around and go back towards the hole. Oh, he was just a little bit off. If that had been a little bit more left, it would have rolled up on the green and gone right towards the pin. So it should be pretty obvious to see that the style of play changes as you advance from Pro to Tour Pro to Master to Tour Master to Legend to Tour Legend. You'll notice most Legend, Tour Legend players will go for the pin because they have a ball that's capable of stopping and clubs that can go that far. Otherwise, you're going to end up long like all of us did here. Now, I could take a lot more time to get this set up, but I'm not going to because it's not necessary. I will take that. Keep in mind, this is the hardest hole on the course, so a par would be considered very good here. Hit the pin. Oh. A dicey little sand trap shot here. This is one of those shots where there's people who will swear you should do a flop shot. Others will use a 50-yard club dialed way back. In either case, considering where he was, he did a very nice job. All right, so we have the only golfer left with a chance to get a birdie. Not a high percentage shot from here. The screen actually slopes quite a bit where he's at down to the hole. And there's an example of that slope. If you're looking for the easiest greens to putt on, and this is in general for the most part, the St. Andrews course has the better greens to putt on. Oh, that was a nice putt. Very nice. And Kiowa, which is where we're at now, the fairways are a bit easier if the wind is low. Each course has its unique challenges, but again, this one and the St. Andrews course seem to be the two favorite ones to learn on. And that was a nice putt getting up to there. And let's see if he can save par here. Put it into hole. Get in there. Ah. All right, I hope I don't mess this meter up too bad. Ah, crap. luckily I have a really good putter that's very forgiving. And considering where he was and the fact he had to chip in, that was a pretty good bogey there. All right, so the next hole is going to be the 11th hardest. And this is a par 3. Not a great equalizer here because the advanced levels, it's just over 205 yards, between 205 210, depending where they put the pin. This is a Tour Master. He's going to 190, so a Master would be in below that. So there's not a big advantage to. Well, we got there. Not in the sand. That's a good thing. All right, let's see if we can manage to get this thing somewhat close. All right, hopefully we'll hit the ding here. A little bit early. That's going to leave an interesting putt. And once you can move up into the upper ranks and you have other clubs available to you, there's so much more you can fine tune on this game to get closer. I'm not going to be able to do much with this game at all tonight because of this jumpiness of the meter. But that is rare. It doesn't happen often. It happens more when you're streaming, of course, because there's a lot more demand on the computer. But I'll see a higher level ball would have just stopped instead of rolled another 2 or 3 yards. All right, so here's the regular WGT ball. Let's see where he puts it. And if it makes it to the green, that's a good looking shot. All right, the only drawback there is he didn't quite get over this little hill, but did very well. This is a difficult shot because if you look at it from the other direction, it is downhill the whole way. And considering he's in 30 to 40% rough, there'll be no ability to slow the ball down with backspin. So this is one of those where you want to get halfway there. There's not a whole lot you can do with that kind of shot. It's difficult. All right, so we're 35 feet, up 8 inches. Just add the two together. That's 43. Take a look at the slope here. Appears to be dominantly right to left. Not really. All right, so that's 42 on this scale. That would be 18, 36. I'll go about there. Come on, meter. Oh, that's better than it could have been. Well, that could have been better. If we weren't streaming this game, quite frankly, I would have gone back out, restarted the computer, and come back in again. That was a very nice putt. If you don't have Windows 8.1, this game seems to work well on Internet Explorer, Chrome, or Mozilla. I've played it. In fact, I play it on all three regularly. There's that downhill putt. It's tough on Tour Master level people who aren't used to tournament green. But you have to learn it anyway because eventually you're going to be on it all the time. Well, this would be nice if this went in. Be a nice save. Well, he's definitely careful about lining it up. Good for him. Get in the hole. Ah. All right, that'll be a makeable bogey. All right, let's see if we can manage to get this in the hole. My God, this is just so jumpy. I can't even move things around right. All right, do not hit it late. Do about that far there. Come on. I barely made it. Oh, hit it too hard. He's probably saying, oops, I forgot I was on a tournament green. You know, when you play in the Tour Master level people here, it brings back memories of doing the exact same thing. All right, our next hole after that one which didn't work out well for 3 of the 4 is the 13th easiest. So maybe we can make up some ground here. And look at the distances here. Notice I'm at 455. What do you see what the Master Tour Master are? There is a pretty big difference on this hole. All right, please hit the ding. Oh, that was horrible. But again, we're on Kiowa, so you can afford to mess up now and then. All right, so I was at 455. He's at 377. That is a big difference. And that's the way it ought to be. When you can get the equipment that sends the ball farther and balls that travel farther, there's nothing wrong with having it equalized that way. And it's all done by which tee you tee off from. And if you look at the lower right of your screen, you can see where the golfers are. This one that's up now is 406 yards away, so he must be a Tour Master level. And even though I had a pretty good drive of almost 320 yards, his drive was 50 yards less, but he's in front of me. So that's a good equalizer. So even though there was a dramatic difference in from the tee box to the pin, it was pretty much equalized. And that was a very nice shot. Well, that's pretty much straight at it. Let's see if we get this one to bite a little bit. With that wind, I'm going to back off just a little bit on the backspin and hope I can ding the meter. Thank you. That should be a good one. Yep. Take a peek from behind here. Now, even though I had an advanced ball with almost full backspin, the ball stopped. Now watch this one go, go, go. If you can learn these greens and know which ones are uphill, like this one certainly is, the golfing term is it has a backstop to it. And even the free ball will react very well. And that will hopefully stay on. Nope. It's definitely one of those greens you don't want to roll over it. This is a good place to chip from, though, because you can get it to stop pretty well, such as that did. That was a nice shot. Oh, that was so close. All right, a little bit of break here. This meter, the odds of this going in are slim to none, but we'll give it a shot anyway. Oh, that's terrible. My God, that's terrible. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Mm. God, I can barely control this. This is unbelievably bad. Thank God. Oh, God. Mm. Well, that was unnecessary. All right, the next one's the 7th hardest hole. I've managed to ruin my wonderful string of pars. That'll play nicely. A lot of people have a tendency to end up in this sand on the right side here. Right in this section here. They try and cut the corner too much. And that one was well done. You can really shave off some distance. That was a 300 plus yard drive if you can manage to get going down that hill. But basically, a lower level player this is going to be a true par 5. It's going to take 3 to get on the green. When you get into the upper levels, for instance, normally I would shoot for there. In fact, we're gonna see if it works. I hope the meter's not too horrible. I'm just gonna let it go all the way through here, or not. Yeah, that should work. It didn't seem to be all that jumpy. Well, hit it just a tad late. But no matter, it's a par 5. It's going to take 3 to get on anyway, so next one will just be a nice iron shot into the fairway, and then another nice shot into the green. But if you have a fairly good wind behind you, you can make it onto the green in 2. That's assuming you're Tour Master or up in level. And assuming you get the clubs that will do it. And just to give you an idea of the club selection, let's look at this level. And you figure his 3-wood is 220 yards, whereas the one I have is 240, and another one in the bag that will go 250, and typically will do more like 265. So when you start getting the advanced level clubs, you have a 3-wood that will go farther than most people's driver. All right. Not a good lie, but let's see if we can just get back into the fairway here. And that had a pretty good roll. One successful approach to this game is to try and leave, whether it's your second or third shot, try and leave it so that it's either 50, 75, or 100 yards, or whatever your wedges are rated at. Ooh, that's not going to be good. For instance, this is just perfect for my 50-yard club. I have to be a little careful with backspin on this club because it does tend to go backwards when it hits the green. And I don't think we need to hit it 100% here because of the wind. Hit the ding, please. Thank you. So that should be a good shot. A little bit more backspin. But that's certainly birdie material there. Starting to run out of holes here. I'm not a real good example here because typically if you're playing a legend player, he should be somewhere 4 to 7 under at the end of 9 on this course. can't even seem to get to stay at par. But I'm going to blame some of that on the old meter. So there have been a couple of stupid, silly shots simply because the meter was so far off. I know, learn to deal with it. Adjust. Quit complaining. Now, did you see how far that ball rolled? Because it just had virtually no way to stop it. I'm not saying the standard ball is a bad thing. You can learn to deal with it, but it's more difficult to get good shots. Now, there are some golfers on WGT, um, particularly last year's champion, F. Magnets, who will go out and play with the standard ball just to get used to it, and he's managed to adjust and still get excellent scores using it. But we're also talking about someone who's played thousands of rounds. Multiple thousands. All right, so most people will at least get a par here, and still one more shot at birdie. Oh, that was close. Very nice try. Well done, well done. Excellent, excellent. All right, let's see if we can manage to pound this in the hole here. I'm going to let the meter go once just to see how jumpy it is, and that is absolutely terrible. Hopefully it'll be better this time. This is a nice thing to do, by the way. Sometimes it does get better. All right, so we're back to even here. Well, this is looking good. 2 birdies and a par. Nothing wrong with that. All right, second to last hole is the 17th easiest. So to put it another way, there are 17 holes that are harder than this one. This is an interesting par 3. If you can hit the ball over here where the cursor is, and if it has any backspin on it at all, this is not too bad getting a hole in one here. That one's the wrong side. The only drawback to this hole is it's a little dicey when you get around the pin itself. All right, so I'm gonna play enough wind. Hopefully I don't hit this thing late, but we're gonna put some serious backspin on it. Drop down to 200. Go almost the whole way. Let's see if we can hit the ding. That was close. Oh, that might be a little bit too far left. Please don't go over there. Oh, that is the worst place to be on the green. The absolute worst place to be. Well, that was a case of putting the indicator where I thought it would go because of a bad hit, and it turned out I actually hit it early. Hmm. He's gonna be right there with me. Oh, he got lucky. He rolled off the green, so that'll give him a shot to at least hit a chip shot or a flop shot on. So it looks like none of us got close to it this time. This is going to be an interesting shot. Well, as you just noticed, the internet trouble continues. Oh, that did not work well. That's going to leave a nasty putt. This probably qualifies as one of the more difficult greens. All right, that's makeable. Told you it was not a nice putt to have. Down 11 inches. So that's actually a net of 28 feet. Left to right. All right. Drop back to that scale. So 28 feet. So we're going to go 9, 18, 27, and back it down a couple of feet because it is so far downhill, and hope we hit the ding somewhat, which ain't going to happen, but anyway, it's better than it could have been. Oh, God. Hmm. Well, there aren't going to be too many of us getting par on this hole. Well, let's hope somebody can get close here and at least pull a par out of it. That was close. Gallant effort. It's still not an easy putt getting in, even from where he's at. All right, this is down 3. Let's see, that willow's 10, down 4, so that's 6 feet. Pull the old jumpy meter here. Luckily got a hit. I'm going to miss anyway. Jeez. This is horrible. Well, hopefully somebody at least gets a par out of this hole. Very well done. All right, come on, meter. Don't fail me now. Just one more. That's all I ask. Jumpy, jumpy. Thank God. Another advantage of some of the advanced rank clubs is they have a bit more forgiveness, which is the side-to-side allowances for the club. So you can hit the meter earlier or later, and it will still travel relatively straight. Of course, you can force it to travel right or left. Some of the advanced players do that. They'll actually hit a putt deliberately late or early to compensate for the slope of the green. All right, so none of us did very well that time. And this is the last hole. Relatively straightforward par 4. It is a dog leg left. And again, when you start playing, a lot of people end up over here in the sand, which is actually not a horrible place to be. And that's a very nice drive. Went well. The pin location is a little tough on this hole today. Sometimes it's up here in the front, but today where it is on the back, there's a ridge right here that, depending on which side of it you hit, you'll have either a really good shot at birdie or not. All right, so I'm going to be hitting about 20 yards further. And again, I'm going to play for a crappy meter here. Hope I don't hit it early. Oh my God. Good thing these fairways are plenty wide. Again, if I wasn't streaming this game, I would have ended it a long time ago. Now he's got a heck of a distance to go. This is going to be tough. Let's take a peek at it when it hits. Again, you have to be careful of this ridge over here. It's actually better to hit the ball a little bit more to the center of the green. Maybe he'll get a good roll. Maybe. Yes. Okay, he got by the ridge right here, so that's a very good thing. He's got a legitimate shot at birdie. But the tendency is to try and get right at the pin, and if you hit at the ridge prior to the pin, the ball just stops. And then you've got to go up over this mini mountain to get to the pin. So again, if you don't have a ball with stopping capabilities, you're much more advised to just go for the left center of the green. That ball had some oomph behind it. But that's not a bad chip over to it. Of course, I'm going to completely ignore all the advice I just gave. And because if I'm going to hit it, I'll probably hit it late. But if I hit it right, it should be just perfect. All right. Let's see how much trouble we can get in here. Well, I hope it's long enough. See what happens on that hill? Boy, I'm glad I could show you that. Another example of what not to do. That's trouble. Oh, look at that. Well, that worked out fine. Then he'll have the advantage to either chip or putt from there. Oh, that's got to stop rolling. Stop. Ooh. From one fringe to the other. It's hard to realize that in the case from where he just hit from, if he was 20 yards away, he should have actually done a 10-yard shot because the ball would have rolled the rest of the way. That was a very nice flop shot. That, God, that sound you keep hearing is I have two Wi-Fi connections going at the same time, and that's one of them cutting in and out, which might explain the meter. Whoa, he was on the wrong scale. Oops. All right, everybody saying good game all. Yeah, that was an oops moment. Now he's just frustrated. Don't blame him. Alright, so this one's got to go in the hole and everybody else has to miss. And that may not happen. 21 feet away. That's 9, 18. Make sure it gets there. Super crappy meter. Missed it because I hit it late. Well, the good news is we'll all be out of our misery. Well, it'd be nice to see a birdie here. Do it. Nope. All right, fella, put it in the hole. You deserve it. Oh, that's horrible. Bad luck. All right, there's one par. And for the win. Well, how about that action, huh? Probably thought I'd just slam this in here and win this one. So now we'll end up with 3 people tied for first. Who'd have thunk it? All right, just get in the damn hole. Get this over with. All right, so that is the front 9 at Kiowa with a little bit of explanation about how things work in advance. So we had 3 of us tie. Interesting. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you around the links. Please don't hesitate to check the follow button on your way out. I would most appreciate it. It's free, doesn't cost anything, and we will see you around the links.